win to have a chance to stay in the upper bracket and move on to the winners finals.
Na'Vi versus TongFu.
And we're back for game number 2 of this best of 3. Na'Vi and TongFu in the upper bracket semifinals. Draskell, tough to follow the act we saw in game number 1. And TongFu, how do you begin to recover from that? Obviously, TongFu experienced, talented at every position, but at the same time, how do you get over what just happened? There has to be an element of being rattled there.
Yeah, definitely. There's kind of a feeling for TongFu, though, that they picked a lineup that works for them.
Right.
You know, I mean, there was nothing wrong with their lineup. Their game plan was solid. They just got picked apart by Dendy Pudge. And you know what? That happens to the best of us. And that's why, as Melk was saying, IG decided to ban it every single game. But we're actually going to see TongFu not take it out. So Na'Vi, they have the opportunity to pick it up once again if they deem it necessary. But let's be honest, TongFu's lineup last game was pretty darn safe.
Oh, yeah.
They have great counter initiation, like Merlini was saying. They had a good late game hero. They had a solid game plan. I don't think there's any reason to be upset over any of the picking strategy involved in the last game. I think just come into this with a clear head and say, you know what, our game plan is not flawed. We can avoid this from happening again, and we can just take game 2.
Well, we can already see Na'Vi foregoing the Pudge pick, not banned out in the first 2, so TongFu might be scared of it, not that scared of it, but grabbing up the Chen and the Visage, 2 very solid core heroes. We saw some great play out of Puppey. You know, it's easy to get overshadowed whenever you have a Dendy Pudge on the map, but Puppey played phenomenal. He was there, his control was there, his micro was there. He wasn't needed quite as much as he might be in other matches just because of the standout performance coming out from Dendy, but now pairing the Chen up with the Visage, going to give them a lot of mid-game punch, and a lot of ways they can build around that. You can build a team fight sort of a team around that if you want to do so, or you can just build a straight up push lineup around that if you want to do so. So the presence of both of those heroes on the map, so hard to deal with. TongFu leading off with the Darkseer, no better core to get things going. We'll see what they want to pick up in second position. That's gonna be an anti-mage.
Well, the AM is definitely a bit of a risk this early on. When you show an AM, there's kind of this feeling of you don't necessarily want to fight that much mid-game because he needs a minimum of 2 items, right? You need the Battle Fury and you need the Manta Style. Treads, of course, on top of that, but everybody pretty much knows that. So when you pick those kind of heroes, it does show your hand pretty early. You don't really fight that much. You go for more of a split pushing style, and Na'Vi already have shown a Chen and a Visage, so it's very easily punishable from Na'Vi in my opinion, and TongFu of course know what they're doing. I'm not saying that it's just a complete outdraft already, but when you have AM and they are banning out Alchemist too, which I think is really smart by them to stop Na'Vi from having an even better mid game, because that's the point in the game where Na'Vi is really going to want to try to apply pressure. We'll see what kind of hero they're actually going to decide to pick up if you're Na'Vi. But the Lifestealer is out, the Alchemist is out, the Weaver is out. Those are 3 heroes that actually give anti-mage reasonable amounts of trouble, and TongFu also now are going to be taking out the Gyrocopter. So they realize the inherent weakness of picking the AM so early on, and they're doing a really nice job of compensating.
Oh, I totally agree. Getting rid of those heroes, one that's still available that will be up there for Na'Vi if they want to go with it, that would fit very well into this is, of course, the DK. You can run that hero mid, then still be able to grab a hero for a Vos moving forward. TongFu, grabbing the anti-mage out this early, like you said, you tip your hand. You know exactly what they're going to be up to. Yes, the lanes are still yet to take shape, but there's going to be a window of opportunity that Na'Vi can look to capitalize on with the Chen and the Visage pick. Maybe you pick up a DK just to give you that extra push power. If he has a decent start in mid, he's going to be able to contribute in a variety of ways. Then you can put Havos maybe even on a Spectre, a hero we've seen him excel at, that kind of a hero, and begin to run that kind of a lineup, run a 4-push, and then whenever a team fight breaks out, he can haunt in, and it's not a problem. So Na'Vi, like you said, very flexible in where they are. They actually take out the Enchantress here, so not wanting to see her on the board to counter the Chen.
Well, if you think about it, Chen is a jungler, of course. It's probably going to be defensive. TongFu picked the AM because they assume that Na'Vi are already going to be going safe lane. And in that sense, you know, you want to do it because the AM's going to get a free lane and he can just get to the Battle Fury Manta a little bit faster. And you can see right now, it's like they're thinking about it. Dendy wants it. Not sure if he's going to get it. Hopefully, you know, I think people in the audience want to see that. But still, haven't decided what Na'Vi is going to be picking for their mid or carry role just yet. But for TongFu, the AM is still really nice because they don't have anything to deal with it yet, at least between their supports. And they're actually going to pick up a Windrunner, so we'll see if that's going to be Funnick, or I know Dendy has actually played it as well, mid multiple times, but we haven't seen what TongFu are going to be fielding just yet for their mid.
Yeah, throughout the D2L Season 3, we saw Dindy play Windrunner a lot in mid, actually. And it was something he experimented with, and he really does excel at. That's a hero that really fits his playstyle. Again, we saw it with Pudge, and we see it every time he plays. He likes heroes that are playmakers, heroes that allow him to play a little wild, to play a little crazy, and just to try and put his individual skill on showcase. Windrunner with a Force Staff. Hell, last time I saw him play a Windrunner, he built a Blink Dagger and a Force Staff just to guarantee that every shackle was a 2-hero shackle. TongFu going to answer that pick with a Rubik. Still very wide open in what they want to do. But again, you know, with the Anti-Mage, more than likely just going to try to pick a well-rounded, what you would call kind of prototypical lineup, while Na'Vi still has a lot of options. They could pull out a lot of gimmicks. They could do a lot of things with what they've already shown us.
I'm just curious what path they're going to take, because right now, I mean, between the 3 heroes that they have for Na'Vi, they have on paper a good strategy against an Anti-Mage in terms of taking map control, but they don't necessarily have the heroes to kill him. So there's going to reach a point in the game where they're going to have to directly address him, and they haven't picked anything yet that really does that. Sure, Shackle is nice, and Familiar Stun is nice, but let's be honest, if you get Familiar Stuns on the AM, you're either have the sickest micro ever, or something else has gone horribly wrong. So still, going to see the next pick coming out from Na'Vi here. I still feel as TongFu's picks are still strong. I just want to know what the plan is for Na'Vi, because these heroes, they have a very specific set of goals during the early mid-game. Chen, you want to get towers, you want to get the map control. Visage is pretty much in the same boat, and he is kind of a hero you want to play aggressive with. You don't really want to sit on a Visage forever and not really do anything. He's very, very good lane versus lane, but since we already know that Na'Vi are probably not going to be laning directly against TongFu anyway because of the Chen, that he's not going to get the opportunities. So Dendy, he's going to get his hands on a puck, which is definitely really good against TongFu's lineup. You get your Blink Initiation. You get your ability to actually kill the AM, which they really needed, so we'll see if he actually goes for the max Waning Rift build. But all in all, really, really solid pick from Na'Vi.
Yeah, I really like that. Gives them the range, the initiation they very much needed to have to really fit into a Chin-centric lineup. Being able to get all of your guns forward is one thing. Being able to march down the lane and start whittling away at a tower is one thing. But in the end, you want the enemy to not just be able to sit back, get in position, then march back out at you. You want to make it difficult for them, if not terrifying for them, to show their face behind their own tower. Puck, just his presence can do that, just because of how powerful Coil is, how powerful Waning Rift is, and of course that reach once he does get the Blink Dagger in. Windrunner and Puck, I suspect, are going to be very, very active together on this map. That's a great duo to try and track down an Anti-Mage. Lead off with the Silence, then you have the Shackle, so on and so forth. Puck actually can pursue an Anti-Mage pretty effectively early on and even into the mid-game. Windrunner, of course, with her innate mobility that comes with Windrun, and if she does end up building, say, a Force Staff, they're going to be able to be a genuine threat to an Anti-Mage, which most of the time feels pretty much invincible. So Na'Vi so far has shown us a core 4 that is going to be able to accomplish a set number of goals. TongFu has to respond here, and really at this point, I feel like they just need some more punch. They've got a lot of utility. They've got a great late game carry. They've got Rubik and all that he gives you, and he is going to have some pretty good spells to steal. And of course, Darkseer, the team fight monster that he is. But as of right now, they're really lacking a bit in early to mid game damage. So that's going to be something I'm sure they want to shore up now.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much right on track with that. The one thing that kind of concerns me for Na'Vi is it's an Anti-Mage versus 4 intelligence heroes, right? So there's going to come a point where the Puck is not really going to be that effective. The Windrunner is going to have to go at least somewhat a semi-carry build. I would actually like to see something like a CK from Na'Vi, because CK is incredibly strong against AM during the mid-game. It gives them another stun, and it gives them a capability to actually take these fights. And after seeing the DK from TongFu, I still think it would work well for them, because it gives you a hero who can actually sit on the front line, whereas right now Na'Vi have nothing of that sort. They don't have anybody who does a good job at soaking damage. I mean, honestly, Visage is probably the best one for them, and he's going to be in a support role, so it's not really that useful. But we're going to see what their choice is. I love the DK from TongFu, by the way, because obviously they needed it in the mid in the first place. And like Bruno was saying, actually, when they were doing the post game, was Dragon Knight versus Puck, the DK doesn't really get stomped there. You know, he does well. He still manages to hit 6. It gives him more lockdown, the capability of pushing out lanes and such, which they actually have in pretty large force now. I mean, between Darkseer, Rubik, and DK, you can counter push really, really quickly. And we're talking once that AM gets a Battle Fury, TongFu's ability to push out the lanes and get control of the map that way is actually going to be quite good.
10 seconds.
I, like you, very much love the DK pick. It gives them even more late game viability, and of course the way he's going to be able to work with a Darkseer after the vacuum vacuum wall. Once he hits level 11, has his level 2 ulti, they'll have the splash damage on the dot, at least for a little while. Breathe Fire, of course, very potent in magic damage early on. Gives them some much-needed survivability. And are you kidding me? We're going to see a big bad bear named Ursa make an appearance. And yeah, I think this has been a fun series. Dindy Pudge game 1, and now host Ursa game 2.
Well, the Ursa is great for a lot of reasons. For the same reason I thought that CK would be nice is the same reason Ursa's nice, is because he explodes heroes. That's pretty much what he's built for. So instead of having a CK stun into Phantasm, you're going to have Overpower and Enrage and just tear somebody apart immediately. And the nice thing about Ursa is that he doesn't necessarily care that much about armor. His damage output is still going to be tremendous, even on heroes like Dragon Knight, like the Anti-Mage. The one thing that's really important to note about picking the Ursa here, though, is that TongFu have a lot of control, especially with the addition of Leshrac. They have Rubik's stun, they have the DK stun, Leshrac has his Split Earth, they can surge people away, the AM has a blink. The coordination from Na'Vi is going to have to be there if they want to be able to lock him down and take these team fights. But if they can do so, the AM just disintegrates to the damage of an Ursa. I mean, no hero can really stand toe-to-toe with him.
Both teams going to be rolling out. Looks like Na'Vi going to hook up his 5 and run towards the northernmost rune spot, TongFu. Splitting up a bit already, and we'll see. Yeah, looks like they're just going to poke their nose around a little bit. We'll run through the lineups very, very quickly. Going to have Chen, played by Puppey, for the second game in a row. Havos will be farming up the Ursa Bear. Going to have Dindy playing on Puck, no surprise there. We're going to have Kuro playing on the Visage, and he's actually just about as good a Visage as he is a Rubik, by the way. And, of course, Windrunner. Going to be handled by Funnick. On the other side of the river, we got Hao farming up the Anti-Mage. Darkseer, the Great Crusader, going to be played by King J. Rubik, going to be handled by Sanqing. Dragon Knight, played by Mu. And Leshrac, going to be handled by Banana.
So I'm interested to see how the lanes are going to take shape here. Typically, a lot of supports walk around, they ward together just to prevent, level 1 skirmishes and giving away first blood or anything like that. But Puppey is still kind of sitting towards top, could just be scouting out the rune. I still have a feeling they're just going to go defensive, because you can't really afford to put a Chen in the aggressive jungle with a Rubik and a Leshrac, because if he gets caught, he could very easily just die in that position. So I'm assuming that we're just going to see a typical tri-lane dodge. But this, for me, this is Na'Vi's mid-game to take. That's pretty much where you want to make your stand. You want to get the Ursa, perhaps a Blink Dagger, Phase Boots. You can even get Roshan if you're lucky enough to get the Tier 1 mid and the Tier 1 bottom and take it away from TongFu and manage to do well throughout the early and the mid-game. So for them, it's all about execution, just like it was in the last game. Probably not as bad. When you have a hook and an arrow, it's a little bit, I think, harder and more pressure than the lineup that they have this game, but still, they do have to execute here.
And Funnick going to be going to work back on the Ancients, using the Quelling Blade to clear out the trees. Like you said, will be a straight-up dodge, so most of the action will be taking place here in mid. So let's break down this matchup a bit. Now, something that Moo's got to be very, very conscious of. As soon as Dindy hits 6, he's going to have supports rotating the mid to try and gank him off of a coil. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So right now, as you said, and as Bruno had talked about, as good as Puck is and as good as Dindy is on Puck, this is not a lane that Moo should flat out lose. He will be taking some damage, will be having a bottle crow, and so on and so forth. But he's going to get the start he wants, which makes it all the more important for Na'Vi to begin prioritizing that lane when they can. Now, the movement of Puppey is going to be a major sticking point early on. How early is he going to try to make a run at mid? Is he going to try to make a run elsewhere? Is he going to just sit and try to rush up a quick mech so they can get things going with the Ursa after some good free farm down here from at bottom for Havos? They have many, many options. But again, Mu on the DK, you don't want a DK getting too good of a start. Don't want him getting a quick BKB or a Shadow Blade.
I think going for the quick Tier 1 bottom is okay if you're Na'Vi, because like you were saying, when Dindy hits level 6, they can kill Mu very easily. You just drop the coil, you have a smoke up behind, your Chen's there, your Visage is there. It's more or less a free kill because of how much burst damage you have between those 3 individual heroes. So we'll see if that's going to be their choice. I think likewise, just holding the tower for a while and getting Havost up that quick blink, or Vlad's whatever choice he decides to make, is equally as good, just to make sure that you can stay in range to do the damage that you need to do during the early game skirmishes. But more movement out of TongFu, kind of just babysitting this double damage here. And they're looking for Funnick. They know that he's doing the Ancients again. And this is something that they pretty much always do when they give him heroes like this. But nope, looks like Banana and Sanqing aren't actually going to walk that way. Or maybe they will.
Yep, DD found. Sanqing going to be spotted by Funnick. They did have a ward down, so
yeah.
Funnick knew they were coming, gave him a little buy your leave as they rounded the corner. In mid here, Dindy and Moo continuing to go toe-to-toe. They're just about breaking even, 10 and 9 CS respectively. In the meantime, though, bottom lane, Na'Vi ready to start bringing down some buildings, and that's going to be responded to by TongFu at top. Doesn't look like there's going to be either team, at least for the moment, looking to respond to this. The Wildkin, the Pied Piper leading the fellow creeps away, so that's going to be a guaranteed free tower. Funnick is rotating over, throws out a power shot just to try and make them think twice. The tower's at about half health. In the meantime, Tier 1 bottom will be the first to drop, and Havost tallies that tower kill, first one in the back pocket of Na'Vi.
The other thing that's nice about taking this tower is, unlike the top Tier 1, for Na'Vi, that tower is, I mean, let's be honest, it's the least valuable tower in the game to take. So at least taking the bottom Tier 1 for them means that Roshan is a little bit easier to get at some point. And that's always something that you're going to have to think about when you're against an Ursa, is how fast and how effectively he can actually kill that if you even lose one early game team fight. And the other thing that we were mentioning too before is that Dendy's almost 5. When he hits 6, Puppey can very easily make the transition with Kuro to that lane, go for kills, go for another tower. Although TongFu do have the supports to actually rotate to that. Having a Rubik and having a Leshrac together, it's very good for counter initiation if you can TP to the tower when they go in on them. You can get double stuns off, maybe turn things around. But of course, they do need money for that, and neither of them currently have much of it.
Very quiet early game. We're 4 minutes in. I've seen a little bit of harassment on both sides, but for the most part, nothing but a one-on-one battle here in mid. Puck and Moo, definitely, and Moo's actually doing a little bit better than I anticipated. I mean, as you said, it's not like DK gets crushed there, but usually a Puck will begin to open up a gap by now. Instead, right on top of each other in terms of CS, experience, right on top of each other as well. And up at top, that Tier 1 still stands. We'll see if they want to make a run at it or not. About 600 HP on it. Yeah, they're going to start trying to melt down these creeps and go ahead and bring it down. There's the phase boots done on Havost already, though. So once he gets 6, he'll be ready to fight very quickly.
Yeah, that's what you want out of your Ursa. You want him to be as active as soon as possible. Oh, blink in by How on top.
And Dindy, going to be an attempt gank in mid that Dindy is able to suss out and bounce away from. So a little bit of movement beginning to be seen on both sides. How will get the last hit on the tower top, and now he's going to go after Funnick one more time. But Windrun, pretty good ability for dealing with melee damage. Then they're just going to hang out and farm a little bit longer. So again, back here and there, we're going to see Moo spin a Dragon Tail on Dindy. Damage is decent, but no Breathe Fire to follow it up. And he's going to throw the coil, and Kuro's going to be there. A little bit of damage in first blood. Once again gathered by Na'Vi. Really beautiful play by Dindy that time. Throwing the coil out as he retreated because he knew he had help on the way. Kuro landing in, locking him down with the Grave Chill, and Puppey coming in to seal the deal with Test of Faith and a little bit of auto attack damage. Make it 1-0, Na'Vi leads.
I'm really surprised that Moo ended up committing that hard. Like, when he used his Dragon Tail, he didn't have enough for Breathe Fire anyway, so even if he wanted to go for the kill, there was simply no way he would have been able to. So we talked about that, I think, at least 2 times already, just the capability of you dying because a coil gets dropped. But
I thought he was going to do that. That's why I had the camera on it. Nice little trick to refill the bottle. Chen sent Dindy home while he was had the orb in the air and he jaunted back. Over in top lane, TongFu continuing to play ultra aggressive. Funnick almost cornered around that time, and Hal got juked out, staring at the woods, not too happy about it, at least for the moment. So anticipating perhaps some movement back, just waiting on Blink to come off cooldown, and will be able to make it back to safety. Havost now finds himself in invis. This could get ugly very quickly for Moo if he's not very careful. Havost making his way up and waiting on Moo. Actually got singed a little bit as Moo came forward to try and CS with Breathe Fire. But yeah, Moo is suspicious. He sniffs a rat, or a bear more appropriately.
I think scared is an understatement. He straight up ran to his tier 2. He's like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. The thing is, though, they will be able to dive him. And right now, the supports do not have TPs. So if they realize that, they could very easily just kill him again. But it doesn't look like Havost is actually going to stay towards mid. Sancheng and Banana are actually going to be the ones who are rotating over now. Between their stuns, they can stun lock Dandy to death, and his orb was just used. So if Moo wants to, he can use his ulti and stun to initiate.
Orb on cooldown now. Not for long, though. He's got another one up already. We can hear Ursa going to work. Puppey just continuing to farm up. He's got about 1,000 gold in the bank so far. Dindy has about 1,000 as well. We'll see if he wants to finish his boots right off. In the meantime, Funnick making good progress. He's already level 4.5. Here we go. Dindy could be in trouble. And I think Moo tipped his hat a little bit too much there. way too aggressive. He was running directly at Dindy around the creep wave as soon as he showed his face. And Dindy recognizing, you know what, it's about that time. More than likely there's some support sitting up on the high ground waiting to do me harm.
Yeah, typically you can tell when the supports are missing because if they pull or not. Because if you're top lane and you're sitting there as a support, there's no reason to not pull if you don't plan on ganking. And if the pull never happens, and you're just like, okay, yeah, they're probably not there anymore. So very nice awareness, of course. Like you said, running at somebody is kind of an indicator of, hey, there's probably help nearby, so I'm just going to not stand here anymore. But still, not necessarily the most aggressive early game. I think that in the long run, TongFu are probably going to come out a slight bit ahead because, again, how on the AM, he's going to be the story here for TongFu. Can he get the amount of farm that he needs? How early is his Battle Fury going to be? And how much of the map can he actually take away from Na'Vi?
Medallion already done on Visage, so the core items coming out. And Moo going to be able to make it back to safety. Does get singed a little bit by it. The coil was spent, but no real follow-up as he spent it just as kind of a FU measure. But Banana and Hobos. Oh, Hobos going to catch him. Just flat out ate him. What happened there? Banana, I think he just got deer in the headlights, man. He seriously just got run upon and just blown up and did nothing about it. So make it 2-0. Now just look at this push. Coming out from the familiars, Dindy, and of course a couple of illusions. So Chen is beginning to move around a little bit, and Funnick looks like he's about ready to join the game as well. Here we go, TP gonna come in. And TongFu in a defensive position. King J still in the jungle, just to the north. Hao is finding plenty of farm, by the way. We haven't really talked a lot about CS. 66, and we're at 9 minutes in, so his farm is actually kind of bonkers.
Yeah, his Battle Fury is probably going to be around 11 minutes, maybe even before that, if he keeps on the pace that he is right now. He has enough to finish up the Perseverance if he wants to, or buy the other piece. But still, yeah, he's just going to go ahead and buy the Broadsword instead. And once he has that, actually, it's going to be like 10 minutes. He's only 500 away. So that is a very, very fast Battle Fury. And like I was saying, this is a stage in the game where you have to really start prioritizing kills, and they're going to go on Moo.
Here in mid, Moo caught out, throws out the Dragon Tail. Sanshing there to help out. Dindy's getting very low. There's the coil, going to catch 2. And Dindy barely able to make it away. Has to be careful. There were some creeps on him. They got him pretty low as well. Split Earth going to be off the mark. Power shot does connect, but very little damage done. Funnick just level 5. Shackle does connect. No follow-up, though, as Na'Vi just retreats back across the river. Very short stun on that Shackle, just level 1.
Yeah, Funnick's actually 5, though, which isn't too bad, considering what he actually had to do. The off-lane / ancienting Windrunner, maybe not the most effective early game, but yeah, in comparison, King J is level almost 9, and he's going to have a mech soon. So TongFu definitely pulling pretty far ahead in that regard. And I'm kind of actually starting to worry for Na'Vi, because the Ursa, to me, hasn't really done anything just yet. He got 1 kill on a support, but that's about it. Now that the Blink's done on Dendy, this is the point where, like I was saying, they want to try to go for kills. They want to try to go for some map control, because you can't let AM have his tier 1s the whole game. You want to pressure him.
Mid tier 1, going to take some more damage. Mech's now done on King J, so Darkseer getting a very important item for his team. We can see Puppey has really made next to no progress. He will be sending Dindy home. Let's see if he's going to do the jaunt again. And there he is. Welcome back. 2-0. Only 2 kills tallied, both belonging to Na'Vi, and in an 11-minute game. In the meantime, Funnick getting some much-needed free farm and experience in that top lane. Moo's there with most of his team behind him. King J, up here to boast, roaring it out, and we'll swipe down the tower.
Dire's middle tower.
That's going to be another tower going the way of Na'Vi. But you're right, I agree with you completely. This is exactly the time when this Ursa needs to get active. He's built for activity very early on with phase boots and the Vlad's up already. He's got a bonus 1,000 gold sitting in his bank as well. We take a look at the gold graph, we can see on the back of that about a 2,000 gold lead or 1,500 gold lead. A little less experience, actually quite a bit less experience. They are going to go ahead and smoke up though, and begin making their way through the jungle, looking for a target. Unfortunately for them, Hal the only target not near a tower, and TongFu's actually going to smoke up, so we're going to have a double smoke, and they very well may collide. They're moving now into occupying the territory Na'Vi was just in, and Na'Vi continuing to go headhunting. Funnick's there as well. Little do they know they're facing the wrong direction. They turn around, they'll find everything they want and more. TongFu will be running up on Na'Vi. Should be spawning someone out. Puppey, the most likely. Yep, there it is. Pings come out. And there's the net just to slow him down. Na'Vi going to reset. Make sure they get their lineup facing the right direction. Dindy's making his way up under cover of an invis. Oh, TongFu very grouped up here. This could be bad if they give him this opening. the team behind him. But looks like Dindy taking his time, waiting for an opportunity. Moves the one up front. King J right behind him. He is going to go ahead, use the Elder Dragon for him. Navi so far not willing. Now we're going to have an engagement as Mu is surged in. He's looking for a target for a Dragon Tail. Instead, just going to find Chin Creeps. There's the Visage Familiar stun and spins it on the Satyr. So Navi turning tail. Dindy still has a little time on this invis. There's a power shot to scout it out. Mu trying the TP away. Oh, Coil. Just a little late. Hal right around the corner. If Dindy can get a Waning Rift off, he got him. He's silenced out, but no help coming from the rest of his team and able to blink across the chasm. So a lot of tension there, but no big fight.
Yeah, and they're fighting over Roshan right now between Mu and Havos inside of the pit, and they know he's doing it, so here they come.
Mu and Havos going back and forth. Sansheng going to show up. There's beautiful initiation coming out of it, and they clean him up. Sansheng in trouble now. Mech's going to be used. Havos looking for another target. Split Earth off the mark. Mana Void, and one auto attack enough to bring him down. And TongFu forced back out. Puppy's there, and the power shot from Funnick. Shot it Kobe style from downtown, and notches another kill. TongFu finally finds their way onto the board, but it cost them a couple, and it's going to end up costing them the Roshan.
Honestly, I'm a bit surprised. Havos runs into the pit. Navi are sitting with 4 top. They have the invis on Dendi, and he uses his ultimate inside of the pit, which immediately alerts TongFu that he's doing it, because why else would you just randomly ult like that? So Mu, he TPs to the tier 2 mid, walks straight into the pit, and tries to stop him, whereas I thought TongFu would actually be able to win that fight. Banana actually missing a couple of stuns this game. That's the second time he's missed Havos and ended up getting him killed. So Navi obviously pulling out ahead, did force the Ursa to buy out, but all in all, I think Navi are going to be quite okay with that trade, considering the AM still needs more time. He can't fight yet. He is leading in CS right now, but he really needs his Manta style. He needs another item actually on top of that too, because even in a 4v5, he still feels pretty squishy. He doesn't even have over 1,000 health yet.
Taking a look at Hal, continuing to make good progress on his items. He's sitting at 120 CS at 14 minutes. Get your head around that. 120 at 14 minutes. Hell, Havos is at 92, and that's pretty damn good for this time in the game, but still being quite outclassed by that Anti-Mage who benefited so much from the free farm in the early tower kills. 15 minutes in, you can see the gold continuing to go the way of Navi. Both teams kind of breaking apart now, looking to take a bit of a breather, but still anybody's game at this point. But I agree with the point you made earlier. There does come this moment, and it's pretty much now as we're beginning to get to the tail end of the early game, and during that transition in the mid game, you don't draft an Ursa to not be ultra active with him. The hero only really works when he gets ahead, stays ahead, and snowballs like hell. And Navi gonna have to be getting a little bit more aggressive soon. Otherwise, TongFu is gonna be happy to just trade towers and let Hal farm.
Yeah, they're doing what they can to try to create some space for him, but the thing is, Navi are okay, I think, here, trading tier 1s, just because of the fact that if they have the map control and TongFu don't, it's easier for them to continually apply pressure, whereas eventually the AM's going to have to back and not be able to split push that much. So I think it's favorable. They're actually going to probably do 2 for 1 here, as there's a double damage on Funnick, and they're going to be going on mid. But here come the TP reactions from TongFu.
TP's there, Sansheng looking for a target, Funnick able to win run away. We've got a split push at top as Havos did not abandon it. He's still showing his face in the lane, the rest of Navi just to the south. Yeah, but he's going to go ahead and look to do some damage. Now, this puts TongFu in an awkward situation. They know most of Navi's in the jungle. If they come into this big open area behind this tier 2 top tower is so easy to get caught out in, especially by a hero like the Puck. It's so hard to spread out effectively, and yeah, they're not even going to try to contest this. And again, this is just by virtue of the lineup. So much range and so much kill potential on Navi's lineup right now. They just give it away.
Yeah, I don't blame TongFu for that, honestly. It's like, our AM can't fight yet, and they're grouping up as 5 with an Aegis. How do we stop this? So Navi, they're reaching their timing window. It's less than 17 minutes in, and they're doing a significant chunk of damage to the tier 3s. There is no glyph, so if Navi take a good fight, it could very easily turn into a Rax.
Very nice dodge with Split Earth from Havos. Let's see what Sansheng got power shot. Very nice spell for him to have stolen there. Aegis will be reclaimed in 3 minutes. So Havos definitely going to want to put it to use. And it doesn't look like Navi has any interest whatsoever in abandoning this. However, they might be forced to, as Hal is split pushing bottom. Here we go. Havos going to engage on Mu. There's the initiation. 2-man coil out of Dindy. He's going to face shift. Havos catches King J. Walls there. Hand of God used. Banana will be able to make it away after a very nice telekinesis. However, Havos now being melted down. We'll have the Aegis pop. Just heard a Mana Void. Hal and Mu shackled together. They just don't have the damage follow-up. Pavos looking for a target, being kited effectively. King J's there, and Dindy comes back in, silences them out, will jaunt away. Havos just could not find the damage he really wanted. And he's going to be sent home. And the rest of Na'Vi able to withdraw. They ended up trading 1-for-1, support for support. There's going to be a Dragon Tail on Puppey, so he'll be blown up. And the reinitiation out of Dindy doesn't have coil. Doing what damage he can, jaunts away, Moose staying right on top of him. We're actually going to see the Windrunner tracked down by Hal. And now Dindy trying to get away, nice Dragon Tail, and Dindy's going to die. That's a double kill for Moo. And that was an unmitigated disaster for Na'Vi. By the time all's said and done, TongFu has made up an immense amount of ground. Taking a look at the goal graph, it'll continue to drop. Yeah, the experience back into their favor now. And Na'Vi perhaps overextending and overstaying their welcome a little bit.
More than a perhaps. That was definitely an overextension, no doubt about it. Havos goes in there man mode before his BKB was even done. As we can see, he just finishes it right now. If he had one for that fight, probably would have been a different story, able to actually stick on a target, especially when Hal offensively blinks. That's the time where Ursa shines, because you know you can just walk in and deal the damage that you're meant to. But it didn't really happen that way. They controlled the Ursa very well during that fight. He got stunned multiple times and pretty much couldn't do anything. But I don't think that Na'Vi are going to be deterred too much, and more or less they can't be, because if they give the map back to TongFu, then the AM's just going to start doing what he does, and Na'Vi really aren't that well equipped to deal with split push.
Dindy whiffs on the coil. Banana just outside of range, looks like the tier 2 mid, likely to be the next target. But with Dindy using that coil, it makes it so hard for him to take these fights. You know, again, just the threat of the coil is often just as good in terms of getting yourself into position as actually using the coil. I mean, obviously you want to connect with it, but it forces the enemy team to feel a little less confident about engaging en masse and getting into one of these big clustered kind of team fights. It makes them consider one extra thing they have to worry about. Na'Vi, not going to have it at their disposal for a while. Hal has done a phenomenal job of just always being in the right place. He's almost to his Manta style now. And Na'Vi just going to zone them out. And again, the range of heroes like Puck and Windrunner just makes it so hard. Nice shackle on Sanxing off of a creep, and Dindy engages in. Split Earth bails him out. BKB activated by Havos. King J gonna be blown up. And TongFu trying to hold their ground. And Funnick actually hanging around way too long, eating a lot of damage. There was a soul assumption stolen by the Rubik, does a little bit of damage on his way out, but in the end, they take a kill. However, Hal manages to clear out that top lane as well, and his farm is just staggering. 175 CS, 175 CS right now for him, and we're at 20 minutes, Stressful. 20 minutes!
Yeah, he's got his Manta done now if he wants to buy it, which is starting to get to that point where Na'Vi are going to have to just keep going. You can't stop if you're Na'Vi, because the DK and the AM in the late game, they're going to overpower the Ursa pretty easily. I mean, Ursa's going to get kited very hard, especially once a DK hits 16, even through BKB, because of course that Scotty effect that he just innately gets. And Moo also is going to have his BKB completely done. So if he gets that, I actually don't know how much longer Na'Vi's lineup is going to remain that relevant against TongFu.
7-5, 12 kills split. And yeah, Hal at this point is really just out of control. His Manta's done, as you had said, and now more or less Na'Vi's under the gun. They have to make something happen. The towers are good, but there you go. They have to smoke. They have to try and assert their dominance over this jungle, and they're honestly going to have to start thinking about tier 3 soon. They do not want to allow those racks to stay standing, otherwise Hal is just going to be able to outmaneuver them. They have great range whenever they're facing all guns forward, but whenever they're trying to catch up with him, Windrunner and the Puck can make a good gank sort of a combination. But Havost, there we go. Sees Hal, but nothing he can do but give him a swipe, pat on the back on the way back home. Makes it back to bottom lane and goes back to farming.
Yeah, and his ability to stay out of the map this long is attributed to them not really contesting him during the early game. I mean, they did some. They applied a lot of pressure to mid, of course, and they took most of the outer tier towers, if not all of them. Of course, the only one still alive is the tier 1 bottom if you're TongFu. But Hao doesn't really have a whole lot of fear soon, because once he does end up getting his Manta, that means that Puck Silence isn't even going to hold him in position anymore. He can just immediately Manta and blink away, which essentially makes it so you either need a Hex or a Shackle to actually kill him now. So his split push is going to become nigh unstoppable if you're not being. And I think they are starting to realize that. They're just kind of grouped up mid. They're starting to push in more. If you force the AM to actually fight you, that's a good thing, because it means that he's not on your side of the map going towards your safe lane tier 2.
Yep, and right now, down at bottom, it's exactly what he's doing. Laying into the tower now. You see a little bit of counter warding being done. TongFu, the rest of the team pulling back. Hao doing great damage at the tower. And they aren't going to try to TP and do something about this, but he should have next to no problem getting out of here. Dindy spots him. Let's see if he can catch him out. Funnick's right there as well. He's going to blink across. He's looking for a shackle. Not going to be able to find it quite yet. The mobility just so huge. And Funnick taking a pursuit angle. Spots him out, and the shackle will connect. Hao was snuffed out. But no follow-up. As mobile as Funnick had to be to make that happen at all, it also put him way far ahead of his teammates and unable to do the damage fast enough to really capitalize on it, but certainly scared the hell out of him, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he was in a little bit of a panic mode right there, but this is what I was talking about. They can't directly kill him. They have to force him back, or they have to win a team fight so hard that they're able to do something like take the Rax or maybe Roshan, which is going to be out very, very shortly. But TongFu is probably just going to contest it now. I think the AM is feeling comfortable enough to the point where he can actually go in, pop the Manta, go for kills. There's so much control for the Ursa right now outside of course, if he's BKB'd, that he can maybe go in aggressively. But then again, this is a 9-second BKB on the Ursa, so we'll see.
Mu in position with King J. They're going to try to hold the tier 3. So far, relatively untouched. Another tower drops to Hao. And switching over to the GPM. 648 right now, his GPM. At just 23 minutes into this game, his net worth is 50% higher than Ursa's, who's in second place. He's almost doubling his own mid, who has 8,400. I mean, he is just out of control. This Roshan, it should lead to a push on the tier 3, and it has to. If they don't make use of this Aegis and get a win, this lineup is just going to slip completely into irrelevancy.
Well, the one cool thing for Na'Vi is, of course, outside of the Aegis, Havost having a blink makes it so he can actually focus somebody pretty easily with the BKB. He can just go in, go for a kill, whether it be on the Rubik, maybe even the AM if he notices that Hao blinks. But speaking of Hao, he's just counter-pushing. He's down here. He's already at Na'Vi's base. That makes it so hard to commit to a 5-man push because by the time you get there, from middle, basically all the way to the base of TongFu, there's a good chance your tier 3 might already be dead, and they don't even have a glyph, so... Hao keeping his thing going, just doing the split push. He's got 4,600 gold now. He just straight up buys a BKB. So yeah, so much for being able to kill him.
Taking a look at the items of TongFu, they're doing a great job of just picking up bits and pieces of items, bits and pieces of the plan to deal with the Ursa. I mean, obviously you've got Mu, who's innately tanky because of Dragon Blood, San Shing. Not so much, but King J with a Ghost Scepter in his inventory. Anti-Mage can, of course, blink away anytime he wants. And Banana picking up a 4-staff, not just for himself, but to help out any teammate that Havost is trying to focus. So TongFu has just done a really great job of managing this lineup. Na'Vi beginning to feel up there. He's going to engage on the Mu. BKB is going to be popped on both sides. Here comes King J. They're going to look to take a fight, or perhaps not. Both teams ran up, set low, and then turned around. Funnick going to be telekinesis back now. Hao's there, and Funnick cleaned up as Mu establishes a killing streak. They still trail in kills, but the gold has actually crossed the middle line back in favor of TongFu, and the experience beginning to drop down even further south.
Yeah, this anime just paying off for TongFu so hard now because he's able to do whatever he wants by himself. Typically, when you're in a position that you have a hero that can't be killed, you're able to farm the most dangerous spots, so TongFu can use their supports or other heroes with not as good a mobility to farm safe areas. So your efficiency on the map increases tenfold. Whereas Na'Vi, they don't have a choice really anymore. They have to walk around as anywhere from 3 to 5. The only person who's able to stay alone at this stage is probably Dendi, just because of how good of an escape mechanism he has between the blink and orb and everything else that Puck offers. So the longer the game goes, TongFu are just going to get farther ahead. Hao's farm is definitely not going to be slowing down anytime soon, and the more items he gets, the less likely I think it is for Na'Vi to actually be able to crack the base that easily. And even with the Aegis, they haven't even had a chance to because Hao is just shoving side lanes so hard.
Hao already up to another 2,000 gold sitting in his bank. And right now, TongFu doesn't have to feel pressure to do anything. They can just sit back, guard their jungle, make sure Hao stays safe, because they know that it's Na'Vi that really does have the onus on them. It's an absolute necessity. They make something happen soon. Puppey is going to be buying, one would think, a Scepter. He's picked up the point booster and certainly make him a little bit more survivable. A Scepter, I think, very necessary if they do intend to try and let this game drag out a little bit longer. Again, Chen, a hero who's always good, but a Scepter just increases the range of his viability in terms of time. We see the Ursa has picked up a Basher, which is certainly nice in terms of going one-on-one with that anti-mage. A little RNG love, never hurt nobody if you ask Host.
The Basher choice is really the only thing he could have done, because what else can he do against the AM if he BKBs? You have to make sure that you have something on your team to hold him in place, and up until he had that Basher, Na'Vi had nothing. So now he can actually blink in if he sees Hao is vulnerable and potentially go for a kill, but it's still really difficult. 1700 health isn't really that low anymore. Hao's getting tankier the longer the game goes on. He could honestly go for something like a Butterfly, I think. If he wants to, he can go Heart. It's the ultra safe choice, but Butterfly still is great against Ursa because obviously there's no MKB, and he's really the only threat to the AM at this stage. And having the BKB, of course, makes it so Puck silence doesn't matter anymore. Shackles you don't have to worry about. It's pretty much all Ursa that's going to have to stop him.
We can see TongFu did try to get aggressive. They went for a smoke, and Havo's trying to chase down Hao. Has no mana, though. Blinked up, but at least will be able to claim his own Aegis. But yeah, TongFu just, and you know, they're beginning to tighten the net a little bit. It's beginning to make Na'Vi feel a little bit more of a stranglehold. DK has picked up his Shadow Blade to go with his BKB, so his two big core items are done now. And again, it's easy to forget. I mean, we're just 28 minutes into this game. I mean, it's not an early game anymore, but certainly still not late. But it just feels so late, not because of the action. A relatively quiet game in that regard, only 13 kills. But Hao is just so big at this point that he feels like a late game anti-mage already. 3,800 gold in his inventory at the moment.
Yeah, his farm is actually insane. 326 last hits at 29 minutes in. Pretty decent last time I checked. So TongFu, they're smoked up. Oh, they're actually going to try to go around here.
Looking to pull a bit of a pincer, and Na'Vi could be caught out and punished so badly here. Let's see how they want to initiate it. They've got Banana up front. Here comes Moo. He's going to Shadow Blade in. Who's going to be the target of priority? There's the Surge, and picks out Kuro. Here we go. Going to jump in. Kuro already got beautiful vacuum into the wall. They're going to blow the hand of God to try and keep the fight going. Havost is laying into Moo. He's able to get away, though. Sansheng surrounding him, as well as King J and Banana and Havost. Going to end up having his Aegis popped. In the meantime, Hao chasing down the rest of Na'Vi behind the fight. Dindy's back in, but Dindy will drop again. Havost taking the last of the damage. That's a triple kill for Hao. And unfortunately for Na'Vi, the planning, the strategy of TongFu just punishing what they knew was coming. They knew Na'Vi was going to have to try and push. They snuffed it out perfectly and executed it as well as anyone could have asked. 7-10, TongFu leads in kills for the first time. Hao's out of control with 1,500 gold, and this tier 2 mid looks to be their next prize.
I don't think it's fair to use the kill lead or the gold lead to tell how far TongFu actually are ahead in this game, just because their lineup, if they were able to make it in the early game and the mid game, remain stable and get to this stage, there was a very low chance that I think they could have lost. But they not only did that, but they managed to turn these fights and put Na'Vi in a position where, honestly, what can they do?
Tier 3. Going to end up dropping. Hao just does not care. Has not even built like a heart or anything, but feels like he has. That's a long-range shackle. Boomerangs. And catches Hao, however. No engagement out from Na'Vi. They do manage to keep their racks up. TongFu not wanting to get too far ahead of themselves. Roshan will be back up in just about 4 minutes, so one would imagine that'll be their next goal. Take a Roche, push a racks, and force a game 3. So, talking about Na'Vi, what can they do to get back into this? Really, they're in that uncomfortable situation where just going head-to-head with an Ursa, as good as the hero is, you know, again, it's that Best Buy date. Puppey, still playing a great game, but he's beginning to fall off a little bit. All of a sudden, the Visage doesn't feel nearly as dangerous as he did 10 minutes ago. And Havost, of course, with basically just mid-game items. Nothing but a Vlad's, a Basher, and a Blink Dagger. There's no way he's going to be able to be nearly as relevant as TongFu's anti-mage will be in the next few minutes, especially when he's getting so much help with Ancients. He's got 6,700 gold. He's going to run to the secret shop and just pick up an Eagle Song, so it will be the Butterfly.
Yeah, I figured it might be. The two choices, like Butterfly and Heart. Heart gives you a little bit less damage, but it gives you, well, a lot less damage actually, but it gives you the survivability against all types of damage. But since he has a BKB anyway, he doesn't really need it. He can just go for the Butterfly because, again, the Ursa is really the only damage threat that he has to worry about. And not only does he get the evasion from it, but he gets a lot more damage on his Manta as well. And his damage output is just going to go through the roof now. And after that, he might just go for the Batcher, might just build a full Abyssal. I don't actually think he needs a Heart in the situation because he already feels pretty much unkillable without even having the butterfly finish. I mean, we saw the last engagement. They couldn't do anything to him, and Havos just spent most of the time trying to run and attack one person. And Ursa falls off in the sense that if you don't have a very big lead, you're not going to instantly kill anyone. You're going to get your full overpower off. The hero will probably be at about half health, and then your usefulness has pretty much been decided at that stage.
TongFu just continuing to wait out the Roshan respawn. Again, about 2 minutes, farming across the map and making sure they maintain map dominance in Na'Vi, knowing that really at this point the game's a little bit out of their control. Dendi trying to soak what he can. A Hex really one of the big items that they have to have any hope of taking down this Anti-Mage. I mean, that's just going to have to be how it is. I mean, now that the Butterfly's out, that creates a new set of problems all its own, but it's all going to begin and end with Dendi. Dendi has to execute, has to make sure he gets that Hex up at some point in the near future, but we're going to have an engagement here. Puppey caught out, and Havos able to clean up Rubik with just 2 swipes. Hal going to chase down 2 behind while Havos tries to chase down Banana, and Hal locked in place with a shackle. Now he's going to be coiled. He snaps it, but he was BKB, doesn't matter. So Havos gets a double kill after chasing down Banana elsewhere on the map. And Na'Vi showing they still have a pulse and they're not scared of that Anti-Mage, at least not yet.
That was really close to being more kills, actually, because Dendi had just finished his Hex before they went on that. And if he had gotten closer and been able to Hex the AM after the Shackle, they probably would have been able to kill Hao too. It depends on how close, I guess, Havos was in that situation. But regardless, 2 kills, going to be nice for Na'Vi. They're trying to assert some kind of map control, and Hao's actually going to TP back to base. Interesting choice. I figured he might actually stay out for a little while, but I suppose not being able to see anybody in the middle lane has alerted him a bit that something might be afoot.
You can see Na'Vi smoked up, making their way through the secret shop area. Roche only a few seconds away from respawn. Looking to get themselves in a good position. They've got a very nice ward down right at the steps leading to the secret shop, so they're going to know from what angle TongFu comes unless they smoke. And that's going to be the state of things. Oh, Havos alone and caught out. He's going to have to run. He has a blink. Now we're going to have the engagement break out below. We're going to see a beautiful vacuum and caught 2. Havos laying into Banana, cleans him up. They're going to be able to mech through some of that damage though. Havos going to try to TP away. Nope. Telekinesis and brought down. Mega kill for Mu. And next, Roshan for Hao.
Na'Vi not looking so good right now. Roshan, like you said, going to be going their way. Hao is going to be the recipient of an Aegis or a Cheese. This is actually the 3rd Roshan, so this is tough for Na'Vi. I mean, their heroes just can't deal with AM anymore. They don't have enough. I mean, the Ursa needs something like an Abyssal Blade completely, and maybe something on top of that even to compete with Hao at this stage, and they just simply don't have it. So next push, Hao's going to have that Cheese. He's got 4,000 gold, so whatever item choice he's going to make next. I'm kind of leaning towards the Basher, just so you can stick to the Ursa, don't have to worry about getting RNG'd or anything like that. But this game right now, it's all TongFu.
Taking a look at the gold graph, we can see it's approaching 5 figures, but again, golden experience really only goes so far. It's all about composition, and Havos, unfortunately, had just had his time to shine came and went without a whole lot of shining being done. Just really well played so far from TongFu. Na'Vi, of course, with that standout performance in Game 1, now most likely going to be forced to go to a Game 3. And yeah, I mean, this is the TongFu we know. I mean, having watched them again as much as we did in the prelims, they do get, you know, we've seen them take some tough losses, but at the same time, they're just a team that when it comes to it, they are at their best whenever they can just sit back and methodically gain a lead. Na'Vi, perhaps the exact opposite, you know, a team that you feel like exceeds the most whenever they're out making plays, but this time around, just no place to be found.
I'm kind of surprised, actually, because TongFu, they picked the AM second, right?
Yep.
So you see the AM second, you say to yourself immediately, if you're Na'Vi, you've already picked 2 heroes, you say, okay, we got a Chen already, we got a Visage, we know we have a multitude of options, we know we can pressure, and they picked a lineup that could force the issue to a certain extent. But they had a Windrunner who wasn't really able to get anything accomplished. They don't have any other heroes who can split push. There's no Nature's Prophet or anything like that. They don't have any way of getting the map back. Once they lose the map, that's it. Like their only option really is smoke ganking, whereas TongFu, they have their Battle Fury AM who can force people to come to him in either 2 or 3 just to be able to stop him from doing anything, and that just gives room back to them. So they have things to fall back on, where I feel like Navi's lineup, it's not necessarily one-dimensional, but it has one specific goal, and if that goal isn't achieved, then basically you have this.
TongFu taking their time, clearing out the lanes, making sure they're all moving in the right direction. Na'Vi relegated to standing in the shadows. of their Tier 3. Map control completely gone from them now. And even the DK beginning to feel just gigantic at this point. He's right behind the Ursa in terms of net worth, but in terms of what he's able to do with the gold he has, he's going to have his heart done very soon. He may well have the recipe on his way. Yeah, he does. So heart already done on him. He's going to be nigh impossible to bring down between the armor and everything else. Has a Shadow Blade as well. And he's actually going to be dropped off. And looks like the courier, Mr. Wizard, going to be taking that elsewhere.
Yeah, he's going to get the Basher now. So how, with the attack speed that he has right now, he can pretty much stun lock somebody if he gets lucky. And like you said, DK with the heart. Like, I don't think TongFu can actually lose all of their heroes. 3,000 HP on the Dragon Knight, 2,100 and a Butterfly on Mu, and here comes TongFu.
TongFu just going to rush down the racks, not worrying about backdoor protection. Funnick going to shoot the Shackle. Beautiful Manta from Hal to dodge it out. And the glyph used to allow it to regen. Here come the creeps. They're only going to work so long. And there you go. Able to bring it down. Shackle does latch. Let's see if they can follow it up. No, wait, nope, they're going to net him down. Now the Hex, can they get in? No, Force Staff's there. Havos jumped in. The Aegis is gone. And Havos, though, stunned out and chased down. He's going to try to re-engage, doing good damage, but no way to get the job done. Mana Void going to clean things up. Hal is indeed wicked sick. The coil went off from Dinding, but unfortunately nothing there to follow it. And with Chen and Windrunner down, Puck's still up, Ursa's back up. Here we go, they're going to try and chase it down. Mu jumps on Kuro. Hal going to town. Beautiful splitter. It's caught all three, and look at the burst. A full 5 wipe. Puts the cherry on this game for TongFu. GG's called, and we're going to a Game 3 here in our semifinals of the upper bracket at the International 2013. Na'Vi falls to TongFu, battling back and giving us another full series on the day. Such a well-played game, Draskell, very methodical, and they didn't give Na'Vi any openings to speak of. Na'Vi, again, they made plays when they could. They were in the lead for a while, but as it came down the stretch, just too much farm on Hal and no way for Na'Vi to mitigate it. So, looking ahead to Game 3, man, can't wait to get things going. But until we do, how about we throw back to James and the crew at the desk?
Thanks, AC and Draskell. So there we have it. A 1-1 tied game. Na'Vi really didn't get what they wanted out of their lineup in terms of handling the anti-mage. They weren't able to put any early game pressure onto him at all. And TongFu, to me, it felt like the game was just going their way from the get-go.
Yeah, they just capitalized on the fact that Na'Vi did a sort of weak lineup if they don't abuse the timing window they have, and they really couldn't get their gangs through or anything, and that's the weak point of Chen.
Where would you say the timing window was for Na'Vi, where they had to make something happen?
I'd say against a lineup like TongFu's, they'd have to go and dominate around the 20-minute mark and not make sure that Hao didn't farm up as much as he did.
Yeah. All right, Ben, what did you make of the match? Bruno?
We're going to see how by this point, we're 30 minutes into the game. The anti-mage is way too farmed. The thing about the Ursa is that it's really nice, as we saw in the game that Liquid had against an EFC yesterday. It's a really strong hero. He can burst you down, but as time progresses, Na'Vi has nothing else to contest against the anti-mage. And anti-mage is kind of a counter to Ursa in the sense that he has so much mobility that Ursa cannot catch up with you. And the Dragon Knight is so tanky that even if you try and kill him, there's the rest of the team going out for you. Na'Vi had the game control for the first 10 to 15 minutes into the game. Dendi was making plays with the patch, but by the time Anti-Mage got something, we all knew that TongFu was going to take it. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they picked Ursa. We haven't seen Ursa pick too much. I think Alliance has used it a couple of times.
Liquid as well.
Secure Roshan, and Liquid has used it with Wisp, but they kind of just pick Ursa. I don't think he's the best hero versus Anti-Mage because he doesn't have any lockdown. He wasn't able to complete his Abyssal Blade by the end of the game, and sure, they had a sheep, but Anti-Mage was just way too stacked. You definitely can't kill him in just one sheep, and I would like to see just a more well put together strategy. He just seems like it was just like thrown in there. For example, last game they had the Pudge Pot on, which they'd run a couple of times, some synergy there, but this one just didn't work out for them.
This game was the exact opposite of the first game. Basically, Na'Vi had the same amount of kills the first game, 10 minutes in, as the total amount of kills 30 minutes in this game. I think there was like 15 kills on the board by the 30-minute mark, and nothing had went Na'Vi's way. It was even, but TongFu was large in charge and way ahead of Na'Vi in all aspects of the game. I'm actually surprised Na'Vi withheld as long as they did.
Yeah, it felt like they had such a small chance to win. It was really something had to go huge in their favor, but unfortunately it wasn't able to do so. So talking about TongFu, obviously winning a game, that's got to be a pretty big deal here on stage. Bringing it to 1-1, is that going to help them in terms of confidence or in terms of being able to take one game versus Na'Vi? Are TongFu a team that can come up to the last game and throw a curveball at Na'Vi?
Definitely. I think this matchup in particular was very close from the get-go. Na'Vi proved me wrong in the first game, but I'm glad that TongFu struck back now and showed that they can actually play ball with them. Granted, Na'Vi's lineup wasn't really as synergetic as the one we saw in the first game or in some of the other games we've seen in their first match against Orange, but I'd still tip my hat in favor of Na'Vi, but I think TongFu can definitely play ball, and I'm excited to see what they'll bring out this game, because they had a sort of standard lineup this game.
Yeah. It will be very interesting if what you guys might consider a very even match on paper in terms of the picks. I think that's what everybody really wants, because so far they've had a decent edge over their opponent. Obviously, when you pick Pudge, it doesn't mean you're going to win a game. They played superb with that, but Na'Vi in game 2 weren't able to make anything happen. But before we get into game number 3, which we'll preview in a little moment, we're actually going to speak to Pyrian Flax. And apparently, he's looting the secret shop.
Okay, hey, this is Pyrian Flax at the secret shop with Arsenio. Arsenio, you are the shopkeeper, are you not?
I am the